Another beautiful day in Henan, China. I just opened up my news feed this morning and read that a female student, a Chinese student in Dalian Polytechnic University has been expelled, and her crime or her wrongdoing was simply dating a guy from Ukraine, and apparently the guy's a gamer from Ukraine, goes by the name Zeus, and posted it on social media. And then the university said that she dishonored her country and broke and violated some rule on social media, or rather in the university for students, which does not allow them to date foreigners or have interactions with them. So this is rather interesting because China is a fantastic country for international students to study and live. And I see Iranian students on the campus where I work, and they are so happy, as are the Pakistani students at a university nearby who I met already in town. So these policies that are affecting and impacting universities and students as well as nations, whether they will be open to diversity or pursue nationalism and tell students how and who to date, will determine the future and the level of students from abroad that come to and attend these universities. I know the United States is erring in many ways with President Trump's policies, kicking out Chinese students, which I think is greatly mistaken and wrong and going to hurt and damage our university system, both economically as well as culturally and as far as intelligence and genius, because many of our great students come from China and India and other parts of the world. So we need them to continue to attend our universities and bring their rich heritage and understanding and knowledge and wisdom to classroom discussions and learning and personal growth and development. But these closed ideals, thankfully, are not nationwide. They're just in one particular university at the moment being discussed nationally on social media. So it's a fantastic topic of discussion. My wife and I are white and brown. She's from the Philippines, and many times locals, when we go to the grocery store, will try to speak to her in Chinese, thinking she's a Chinese, but she's actually Filipina. And we get looks at times on campus or in the town, but that's just normal. If you go to small towns where they don't see a lot of people. When I was in Africa, I was the only white man in the bush, in the interior, in the villages, and people would stand and stare at me for an hour saying Mzungu, which means white man in Swahili, because they had not seen a white man before. Some children ran in fear thinking I was a ghost. I've attended all black churches predominantly before in New York City, and I enjoy being around blacks and browns and people of other countries and cultures. In fact, sometimes I feel more comfortable with them. Some of my best friends in the United States are Latinos, which are brown skin. So I don't have a problem with culture and diversity. I love it very much. I've lived in Africa, Asia, Latin America, and Europe, and benefited greatly learning from the nations of the world and the people therein. And I've traveled to 90 nations, and I feel actually more at home abroad than I do in my own country in the United States. So God bless China and the nations of the world. But universities, as a UCLA certified and trained college and career counselor, I have a message and a question for you. Are you going to pursue and embrace diversity? God, who created the world, himself is diverse. And even in Asia, where 2/3 of the world lives, you've got a different shade of skin color among your own people, from Vietnam to China to Philippines and Bangladesh and India, Japan and elsewhere, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore. What will you do with these wonderful, diverse people and their great food and cuisine and culture? Will you embrace it? Will you resist it? Will you allow people to date freely and make their decisions as adults when they attend your university? Or will you try to play God and dictate their life choices and decisions? I know in India they have a lot of arranged marriages, but when parents arrange marriages based on money and materialism, it doesn't always work well, because if you try to dictate who your child marries, that doesn't always make for a great recipe for success, because later on thereafter you'll probably try to tell them how to live their life once they're married, where to live, where to take their kids to children, and so forth and so on. And that can be a slippery slope and derail their personal happiness and success. So, message for the nations of the world and the universities that pursue and purport to embrace and advance higher education: will you do so as well culturally and with the matter of multiculturalism and ethnicity? Will you embrace and love all people? That's a decision every college and culture and university needs to make for themselves. But I think China has already embraced the world. It's working and partnering with Africa and Brazil and other parts of the world, such as Indonesia. So the nation itself is diverse and welcoming to peoples of the world. Will the universities herein be the same? I know some are closed in different parts of the world, such as the United States, maybe based on religious reasons at times. And some of those religious bones of contention have been found to be unethical, untrue, false, and misappropriated even in Christian universities and colleges, where some old timers tried to say, well, whites can't marry blacks and blacks can't marry whites or browns and so forth and so on. But really, God's a God of diversity. Moses married an African, Ethiopian woman. So get over it and go on with your life, live and let live, and be happy, my friends.